The community center in Hope Delta pulsed with a low, anxious energy, shadows flickering along the walls as the last rays of sunlight slipped behind the horizon. Pax Bramwell stood at the front of the room, their slender frames silhouetted against the warm glow of oil lamps, casting a golden hue over the gathering of villagers. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and faintly roasted herbs, remnants of shared meals and laughter that had once filled the space. But tonight, an unsettling stillness loomed, punctuated only by the rustle of worn clothing and muffled whispers. Pax's heart raced. They scanned the familiar faces, each etched with worry for the Knowledge Keeper's impending departure, a loss that threatened to silence the very stories that bound them together. Pax inhaled deeply, the rich aroma of the community center mingling with the weight of expectation. I know this is difficult for all of us, but we must remember what the Knowledge Keeper taught us. These traditions are not just stories, they're the marrow of our bones, the rivers that nourish our roots. Without them, we become nothing but dust in the wind. Their voice, though steady, carried a tremor of urgency that resonated through the crowd. One older villager, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched a faded quilt, leaned forward. But how could we carry on without their guidance? What if we forget? A murmur of agreement rippled through the room, tightening the knot of anxiety in Pax's stomach. They stepped forward, feeling the cool, smooth floor beneath their feet, grounding them as they met the eyes of each villager. We won't forget. We can't. Look round you. Every fabric of our love is woven with the threads of our history.
We share stories under the stars, learn to dance in the rain.
These memories live in us, waiting to be told. We need to honor them together, their heartbeat drummed in their ears, the words pouring out with the fervor of someone desperate to convince themselves as much as the others. As the murmurs grew louder, Pax felt the flutter of doubt take flight in their chest. Balthazar Vexley, tall and imposing, crossed his arms, his stormy blue eyes narrowing. But can we truly lead without that knowledge? You speak of memories, but what happens when those stories fade? His voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the dimly lit room, casting a pall over the hopeful glimmer in Pax's heart. You've learned under their shadow, Pax. Are you ready to let that light go? Beneath the weight of the question, Pax's resolve wavered. Paxic hands clenched into fists, the small crescent moon tattoo on their wrist pressing against their skin, like a reminder of their past. No, we can't let fear dictate our future. The Knowledge Keeper believed in us. They entrusted us with our culture. We have each other, and together we can find a new way forward. Let's gather the stories, the songs, the dances, and make them our ode. I won't let their legacy die with them. Will you stand with me? Their gaze swept across the faces of the villagers, searching for a flicker of resolve amid the shadows of doubt, the air thick with anticipation. A hope hung delicately in the balance. In that moment, a quiet determination began to ripple through the crowd, igniting a spark of resilience that flickered in the dim light. The villagers shifted, exchanging glances that spoke of shared memories and a burgeoning bond, while the weight of Balthazar's question lingered like an unanswered prayer. Pax's heart swelled with a mix of trepidation and excitement. Perhaps they were as alone as they felt. With the Knowledge Keeper lessons echoing in their mind, they felt the tide of fear begin to turn, a resolute whisper rising from the depths of their soul. Tomorrow would bring its own battles, but tonight they would stand united, ready to embrace the unknown. In that moment, they felt the hope of the community swell around them, a tangible force that promised resilience and strength in the face of uncertainty. The community center, once a backdrop of anxiety, transformed into a sanctuary of unity, where stories would continue to flourish, and the legacy of the Knowledge Keeper would endure through the voices of those who cherished them. Thus Pax took a deep breath, the warmth of the village's presence igniting a flicker of courage within their heart, and they prepared to face the unknown together, bound by the stories that had shaped them. Their journey was just beginning, but the light of hope shone brightly in the hearts of the villagers, illuminating the path ahead, a testament to their unwavering spirit. The future awaited, and with it, the promise of a new dawn for Hope Delt and its cherished traditions. What they would become together, only time would tell, but for now, they stood dead one, ready to write the next chapter of their shared history together. A history that would add through generations to come. And so, in the heart of Hope Delt, the sun dipped beneath the horizon. They took their first step forward into a future filled with possibility and purpose, united by the threads of their past, and the stories that would continue to bind them as a community. With hope alive in their hearts, they were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. As they moved forward, the strength of their unity would shine as a beacon of hope, guiding them through the darkness and into the light of a new day. Together, they would forge their path, embracing the stories of their ancestors, and creating new ones that would carry their legacy forward, ensuring that the Knowledge Keeper's teachings would never fade away, but rather flourish in the hearts of all who called Hope Delta home. In that spirit, they would find their redemption, and in their unity, they would find their strength, a strength that would carry them through the trials and triumphs of their journey ahead, and they became the storytellers of their own destiny, weaving a tapestry of hope and resilience that would stand the test of time. United, they would rise, and in that rising they would reclaim their place in the legacy of Hope Delt, a legacy that would shine like a beacon of light for all to see, guiding their way through the darkness and illuminating their path toward a brighter future, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of tomorrow. And so, with hearts full of courage, they took their first step forward, ready to embrace the journey that awaited them, together one, bound by the stories they would tell and the legacy they would create. A legacy that would endure for generations to come, a testament to the strength of their spirit and the power of their unity. In the heart of Hope Delt, they stood the one, ready to face the unknown, ready to write their story, a story of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds that tied them together year to community, forever woven into the fabric of their shared history. And so, they took their first step forward, united in their journey, ready to embrace the future that awaited them, a future rich with promise and possibility. Yet they became the authors of their own destiny, guided by the light of hope that shone brightly in the hearts of all who called Hope Delta home. And with that, the story of Hope Delt began anew, a story that would add through the ages, a story of redemption, courage, and the unyielding spirit of a community that refused to be silenced. A community that would rise together, stronger than ever, ready to embrace the journey that lay ahead. For in the heart of Hope Delt, hope would always endure, a light that would never fade, a beacon that would guide them through the darkness and into the dawn of a new day, a day filled with promise, a day that would forever stand as a testament to the power of unity and the strength of the human spirit. Together, they would rise, and in that rising, they would reclaim their place in the tapestry of life, a tapestry woven with the threads of their stories, a tapestry that would shine brightly in the hearts of all who called Hope Delta home, a tapestry that would endure for generations to come, a tapestry of hope, love, and the unbreakable bonds that tied them together as a community, forever intertwined in the rich fabric of their shared legacy. And so, they stood together, united in their purpose, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to write the next chapter of their story, a story that would be told for generations to come, a story that would ebb through time, a story of hope, resilience, and the enduring spirit of a community that refused to be silenced. A community that would rise together, stronger than men, ready to embrace the journey that awaited them and the future that lay ahead. A future filled with promise, a future that would carry their legacy forward into the light of a new day. For in the heart of hope dead, hope would always endure, a light that would never fade, a beacon that would guide them through the darkness and into the dawn of a new day. A day filled with promise, a day that would forever stand as a testament to the power of unity and the strength of the human spirit. A day when they would rise together, united in their purpose, ready to embrace the journey that awaited them and the future that lay ahead. A future rich with promise and possibility. A future that would carry their legacy forward into the light of a new day. The Knowledge Keeper's sanctuary lay cloaked in twilight, its shadow-odd corners brimming with the remnants of a vibrant past. Murals adorned the walls, their colors dulled by age, but still whispering tales of ancestors who once thrived in the warmth of community. Dust motes floated lazily through the thin beams of light, streaming from oil lamps, illuminating an array of artifacts, ceremonial masks, scrolls, and tools, each a testament to forgotten traditions. Pax Bramwell stood at the threshold, their heart thudding against their ribcage. They inhaled the rich scent of aged wood and ink, the bittersweet nostalgia wrapping round them like a familiar cloak. Their fingers brushed over the wooden frame, grounding them before they stepped inside, where the frail figure of the Knowledge Keeper lay surrounded by relics, each moment heavy with the weight of impending loss. Kneeling beside the elder, Pax felt the chill of despair seep into their bones as they took in the frail form, the Keeper breaths shallow and labub. They reached out, brushing their fingers against the Keeper's gnarled tend, warmth fading like a dying ember. The Knowledge Keeper eyes flutter open, revealing a pool of fading wisdom. Vex, you must remember the stories. They are our lifeblood, the elder rasped, each word a flicker of a flame that threatened to extinguish. A lump formed in Pax's throat as they nodded, feeling the enormity of the Keeper's legacy pressing down on them. The thought of losing this repository of culture and tradition sent a shudder through them, igniting an anxiety they thought had ebbed. Just then, the door swung open with a creak, and Balthazar Vexley strode in, an imposing figure framed by the fading light. His piercing blue eyes scanned the room before landing on Pax, an amused smirk curling his lips. "Ah, the torchbearer has arrived. How quaint to see you kneeling at the feet of your mentor, though I wonder how much light you could carry when the darkness gathers." The challenge in his voice pierced through the sanctuary air, frosty and uninvited, as if winter had suddenly swept in to snuff out the warmth. Pax's heart raced, the smoldering embers of their courage threatening to ignite into flame. Balthazar stepped close, his presence overwhelming as he leaned against the workbench, crossing his arms. "You think you can lead them?"
Look at you, overwhelmed and lost.
"The community best days are behind us, and you're just a storyteller, fumbling through your past mistakes. Yet nothing left for you to save." Each word dripped with disdain, stoking the fires of self-doubt that churn within Pax. They clenched their fists, willing themselves to stand tall, the echoes of the Keeper teachings flickering stubbornly in their mind. "You don't get to decide that for us," Balthazar Pax managed, voice steadier than they felt. The tension in the air thickened, charged with their unspoken fears. "Stories don't die with the Keeper. They live on in us, in every choice we make. If you think our community is doomed, then maybe it's you who needs to change." A tremor of resolve threaded through Pax's voice, surprising even themselves as they looked into Balthazar's icy gaze, searching for a crack in his icy armor. "We cannot let the past slip away without a fight. I'll protect our traditions, even if you don't believe in them. Or me." For a heartbeat, silence enveloped them, a taut string stretched to its limit. Balthazar's expression flickered, a brief flicker of uncertainty crossing his features before he masked it with indifference. He straightened, the tension coiling round them like a storm waiting to rake. "You may try, Pax, but remember most stories end with a bitter truth," he said, his voice low and dangerous. As he turned to leave, the door creaked shut behind him, leaving Pax alone with the keeper and the weight of the moment. The flickering lamp cast elongated shadows that danced on the walls, whispering ancient truths. Pax took a deep breath, the sense of ink and wood filling their lungs, and resolved that the keeper's stories would fade into oblivion, not while they still lived to tell them. The alley lay cloaked in shadows, a labyrinth of crumbling brick and forgotten whispers. Faint echoes of the past linger in the cold air, where flickering street lamps cast disjointed light across the uneven pavement. The scent of damp earth mingled with the stale remnants of old refuse, creating a sour, melancholic perfume that seemed to cling to Pax like the weight of their memories. As they stepped into this forsaken space, a shiver danced along their spine, the ghosts of an infamous heist swirling on them, the images so vivid they could almost hear the rustle of fabric and the hushed tones of conspiratorial voices. Leaning heavily against the chill of the wall, Pax closed their eyes, heart pound. A rhythmic echo of their past failures, battling against the silence that enveloped them. Pax's breath grew shallow, each inhale a reminder of the night everything fell apart. They pressed their forehead to the damp brick, fighting the urge to flee from the memories flooding back. Fear, chaos, betrayal. A siren of guilt sang in their mind, pulling them deeper into the abyss of their regret. They could almost hear the keeper's voice, a gentle but firm guide from the days when they had believed they could protect the legacy of Hope Delta. "What have I done?" they murmured, hands trembling when they traced the crescent moon tattoo on their wrist, grounding themselves in the present even though the past loomed ominously. The air shifted, and from the darkness emerged Balthazar Vexley, tall and formidable, his broad shoulders casting a long shadow as he approached. The street lamps flickered in response to his presence, illuminating the deep scar etched across his cheek. "You can't run from this, Pax," he said, his voice a low rumble, equal parts patience and challenge. "This alley is a mirror reflecting the choices you made. But it doesn't have to define you. You hold the power to reshape your narrative, to honor what the Keeper entrusted to you." Pax lifted their gaze, the weight of Balthazar's words sparking a flicker of resolve within the depths of their haggard eyes. "And what if I fail again? What if I'm not strong enough?" The vulnerability trembled in their voice, but Balthazar stepped closer, his piercing blue eyes steady and unwavering. "Redemption comes through confrontation, not avoidance. The community needs you, Pax. Your heritage and the Keeper's legacy depend on your courage to face the past. Transform that anxiety into strength, into action." The shadows felt less suffocating now, the chill of the alley softening be. Pax drew in a deep breath, the scent of earth mingling with the faint warmth of possibility. A newfound determination surged through them, igniting a fire that had long been dormant. Standing tall, they felt the weight of their past shift, transforming from a burden into a catalyst for change. "You're right," Pax finally said, their voice steadier, more assured. "I will confront my fears. I will protect what we have left." With a final glance at Balthazar, they turned, ready to step back into the light, to reclaim their role in the community's story. The marketplace of Hope Delta thrummed with life, a vivid tapestry of colors and sounds weaving through the warm afternoon air. Stalls draped in rich fabrics overflow with spices that mingled in the breeze: cumin, cinnamon, and turmeric, each scent wrapping round Pax like a comforting embrace. As they navigated the throng, the chatter of traders and the laughter of children provided a vibrant backdrop, yet an urgent pulse throbbed beneath this lively surface. Dressed in their earth-tone tunic, adorned with intricate embroidery, Pax's haggard eyes flickered with determination. They brushed their fingers over the small crescent moon tattoo on their wrist, a quiet reminder of the past that too inspired and haunted them. Today, amidst the cacophony, they sought Balthazar, the wise mentor, whose presence offered a flicker of hope in their quest for truth. Balthazar stood at the edge of the market, his imposing figure outlined against the stall's colorful awnings. His salt and pepper hair gleamed in the sunlight, and the deep scar on his cheek caught the eye, telling tales of battles fought and wisdom earned. Pax approached, heart racing, the weight of their unresolved fears pressing down like a cloak. "I need your guidance, Balthazar," they said, their voice steady despite the tremor in their heart. The wise mentor turned slowly, his piercing blue eyes locking onto Pax's utter gaze. "You are on the brink of an important journey, Pax. You must embrace your past, not flee from it. Only then can you honor the Knowledge Keeper legacy." The words hung in the air, like the fragrant smoke drifting from a nearby incense stall. They were both comforting and daunting. Pax shifted their weight, the fabric of their trousers whispering against their legs. "What if my past holds only pain? What if I cannot live up to their legacy?" Balthazar regarded them steadily, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Pain is as part of the journey, my dear. It shapes you, molds you into who you are meant to be. You have a choice, to let it bind you or to let it strengthen you. What will you choose?" It was then, amidst the vibrant chaos of the marketplace, that something shifted within Pax. The urgency to act surged through them, igniting a fire of resolve. They glanced stern at the bustling community, friends, families, the very heartbeat of Hope Delta, and felt a swell of determination. "I will face my past. I will not allow fear to dictate my actions. This time I will protect what is dear to us aught." Balthazar nodded, pride glimmering in his eyes, and the weight of the world felt a fraction lighter on Pax's shoulders, but the battle was far from over. As they turned away from Balthazar, the weight of their resolve anchored them to the present, yet the shadows of their past still loomed. The market pulsed with activity, each sound a reminder of what was at stake. With renewed purpose, Pax threaded their way through the throngs, heart beating in sync with the vibrant life around them. Today was not just another day, it was the beginning of a quest, a chance to reclaim their narrative. Yet deep down, a flicker of doubt remained. Could they truly confront the truths waiting for them? With each step, they silently vowed to honor the Knowledge Keeper before it was too late, knowing the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. The air inside the abandoned warehouse was thick with the scent of rust and decay, remnants of a past that whispered secrets to those brave enough to listen. Shafts of pale light pierced through the cracked windows, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the stillness. Each step Pax Bramwell took echoed in the cavernous space, their slender frame cloaked in the soft folds of an earth-tone tunic, shadows flickering playfully across their features. As they moved deeper into the heart of the structure, memories clawed at the edges of their mind, ghosts of that fateful night 5 years ago when their failure had left Hope Delta vulnerable. Paxic fingers brushed against splintered beams, feeling the rough wood as a tactile reminder of their resolve. This time, they would falter. A rustle echoed from the far corner, and Pax's heart raced, every instinct sharpening to a point. "You shouldn't be." "Bramwell," a voice crooned, smooth and measured, silk dragging across a blade. Balthazar Vexley stepped into the light, his fig imposing, a dark suit draping over his broad shoulders with an arrogance that made the air feel electric. "Cur little moth, are you? You'll only sing your wings." The atmosphere shifted, tension threading through the air as Pax squared their shoulders, refusing to cower beneath his piercing blue gaze. "I'm here to reclaim what was lost," they replied, their voice steady despite the tumult within. Balthazar rang out, rich and dripping with disdain. "Lost? Or perhaps better off, forgotten." He took a step, the worn floor creaking beneath his weight, his presence suffocating. "You think you can unearth the past and mold it to your narrative? You'll find only ashes. Pax how thudded painfully. Guilt surged within them. A tide of failures too heavy to carry. Yet the weight of Balthazar's words transformed into fuel, stoking a quiet fire of determination. "I can't change what happened, but I can ensure it doesn't happen again. I won't let your corruption poison this community any longer." As Balthazar's smile faltered, a flicker of uncertainty flashed across his features. The shadows deepened around them, the warehouse a silent witness to their confrontation. In that moment, Pax felt a shift beneath their skin, a recognition that redemption was not a destination, but a path forged in the crucible of courage against their fears. They stepped forward, heart racing with the thrill of purpose, embodying the spirit of the knowledge keeper they sought to honor. "You may have power now, but even the mightiest will fall when faced with the truth." The words lingered in the air, heavy with promise and challenge, besturfen braced for the storm that was sure to foe. The town square of Hope that buzzed with an uneasy energy, the air thick with anticipation. Townspeople thith beneath the shadow of the old oak tree, a once mighty sentinel now bearing witness to tense confrontations. Bright banners fluttered in the breeze, their cheerful colors a stark contrast to the gay expressions etched on the faces of the crowd. Pax Bramwell stood at the center, their slender frame adorned in a loose earth-tinted tunic embroidered with symbols of the community's heritage. A wide-brimmed hat perched atop dark, wavy hair. Gazing out at the sea of skeptical eyes, they felt the weight of every heartbeat reverberate in their chest. A steady reminder of both purpose and doubt. Their heart raced with the knowledge that today could either redeem or bury them beneath layers of betrayal. Balthazar Vexley stood across from Pax, a mountain of a man whose imposing presence seemed to draw shadows around him. His piercing blue gaze roamed over the assembled crowd, a predatory glint lurking in the depths as he leaned forward, hands resting on the wooden lectern. "You see this person before you," he began, his voice smooth and commanding, laced with a practiced charm. "They claim to have our best interests at heart, yet they have failed us before. Remember the Heist?" Murmurs rippled through the crowd, like a gust of wind rustling the leaves. Pax's stomach tightened, each whispered accusation lingering in the air, heavy and suffocating. They stepped forward, voice trembling yet determined.
"That was a different time, Balthazar."
"I tried to protect our home, but mistakes were made." "I own that." "But what about you? You've used your influence to line your pockets with our trust, and I can prove it." Balthazar chuckled, a sound that dripped with condescension. "Prove it." "With what?" "Stories of my..." Gestured dismissively. The crowd snickerer tilted the balance of favor. "We want actions, Pax. We want security." "You can't F that, can you?" The shift in the atmosphere was palpable. Tension, thickening. The crowd leaned into Balthazar's words, their faces painted with doubt. Every heart that once beat in solidarity with Pax now flickered uncertainly, as if teetering on the edge of a precipice. Pax felt the ground shift beneath them, the hopelessness settling like a weight in their chest. They glanced at the townspeople, their expressions hardened, wrestling with the fear of losing what little stability they had left. They had come to fight for truth, but now it felt as if the very trust they sought to mend was slipping through their fingers like sand. "Listen to me." Puck's voice rose, edged with urgency, but the crowd was lost in Balthazar's web, their loyalty tangled in emotion.
This is about more than us.
It about the future of our community. Yet as the murmurs crescended into a chorus of skepticism, Pax's heart sank. The reality was stark. Their voice, once a beacon of hope, now trembled on the precipice of despair. They turned, searching the crowd for a glimmer of understanding, but found only shadows of doubt. In that moment, the trial transformed from a quest for truth to a battleground for hearts, and Pax realized the fight was far from over. The stakes had shifted. This was no longer just about exposing corruption. It was about reclaiming faith, even in themselves and in the community they longer protect. They took a deep breath, steeling their resolve, knowing the next move could change everything. The garden lay tranquil under a tapestry of stars, each pinprick of light shimmeringly whispered secrets. An archway of ivy twisted above, framing the moon's silver glow as it spilled across the dewy grass, bathing everything in a soft luminescence. Pax Bramwell stood near the edge, their slender frame barely visible in the shadows, fingers tracing the lustrous outline of their crescent moon tattoo. They wore a loose earth-toned tunic embroidered with the stories of their people, yet tonight the fabric felt heavier, draped over shoulders burdened by doubt. The air was rich with the scent of night-booming jasmine, but to Pax, it felt more like a reminder of what was at stake: hope, redemption, the very essence of community. They drew a shaky breath, the weight of their quest coiling tightly out their chests. The familiar figure of Balthazar Vexley approached, his broad shoulders silhouetted against the moonlight. Pax turned to meet the mentor, in piercing blue gaze, a mix of admiration and trepidation, flooding their heart. "What if they don't believe me, Balthazar? What if I fail again?" Their voice wavered, cracking under the strain of vulnerability. The elder leaned against the gnarled trunk of an ancient cherry tree, its bark rough beneath his calloused hands, and sighed softly.
"Belief is a fickle thing, Pax.
It often wanders as you do, uncertain and afraid. But when was the last time you let fear dictate your path?" The question hung in the air, heavy with its implications, as the wind rustled through the leaves, echoing the turmoil swarming within Pax. As the night deepened, a silence unfurled between them, punctuated only by the distant chirping of crickets. Balthazar searched the darkness, his voice steady. "You know, when I was a young man, I faced a moment much like this. The townsfolk looked to me to lead against a tyrant who had seized our land. I was terrified. I nearly walked away, thinking my stay adequate. But then I recalled my own mentor's words. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the resolve to move forward despite it." His eyes glimmered, reflecting memories Pax could only imagine, igniting a flicker of hope within them. The air thickened with anticipation as Balthazar stepped closer, the scent of aged wood and his own resolute spirit entwining on them. "What if you turned that anxiety into your armor?" he proposed, voice low but filled with an urgency that resonated. "Your story is not yet finished, Pax. They need you to rise, not just for them, but for yourself. This quest, it's your chance to reclaim what was lost, not just for your community, but for every bit of light that flickers within you. You have the strength to push beyond your fears." Their eyes met, and Pax felt an ember of determination spark anew. With every word, the weight on Pax's shoulders began to shift. Lightening lit the moon drifting across the sky. They stood taller, breath steadying as the fear that had threatened to swallow them whole receded. "You're right. I can't let this end dead. It wasn't just my failure last time. It was our entire community loss. I owe to them to see this through, to fight for the future we deserve." In that moment, resolve flooded their veins, igniting a fire that had long flickered dimly beneath their doubts. The garden, now a sanctuary of renewed purpose, enveloped Pax in its serenity. Yet beneath that calm lay the tension of impending challenges. As Balthazar nodded, the moonlight cast a silver halo over them, illuminating the path ahead. "Then let's begin anew, Pax. The first step starts with believing in your own story," he said, a firm assurance in his tone. With a decisive nod, Pax felt the weight of their fears transform into a burgeoning courage, ready to confront the shadows of their past. The night was alive with possibilities, and as they stepped forward together, it was clear that this was not merely a quest for redemption. It was the beginning of a reckoning that could alter the fate of their community. The Knowledge Keeper's sanctuary was a labyrinth of stories and secrets, its warm glow illuminating the dust motes that floated like forgotten memories. The walls, adorned with vivid murals of ancestral figures and stories long gone, seemed to whisper as Pax Bramwell stepped into the hidden chamber, their heart thrumming like a caged bird. The scent of aged wood and ink clung to the air, curling them like a familiar embrace, yet a sense of foreboding hovered in the corners, thickening the atmosphere. Drawn to a weathered trunk in the chamber's center, Pax hesitated, fingers brushing against its rough surface, feeling the weight of their own troubled past beckon from within its depths. They knew this was no ordinary discovery. The echoes of betrayal and guilt loomed just beyond the lid, waiting to be unearthed. Fate. With a determined breath, Pax unlatched the trunk, revealing stacks of yellow-eyed documents. The flickering light from the oil lamps cast shadows that danced menacingly across the chamber walls. "These could be the answers we need," they murmured, half to themselves, half to the ghostly presence of the Knowledge Keeper that felt theft so close yet painfully out of reach. Just then, a cold voice broke the silence, oozing with disdain. "You think you can unearth the truth? You're just a caretaker, Pax. You never had the strength to protect what was ours." Balthazar Vexley emerged from the shadows, the scar on his cheek catching the light like an ugly badge of honor. His piercing blue eyes bore into Pax, sending a chill racing down their spine. "You don't know what you're meddling with. Those documents bind our fates together, and the past is not so easily escaped. You were complicit in our downfall, whether you admit it or not." His words slithered through the air, wrapping round Pax like a noose, tightening with every accusation. Clenching their fists, Pax met Balthazar's gaze, their heart pound with an urgency fueled by the weight of his words. "I was trying to save us." The tremor in their voice betrayed their resolve, but they took a step out, their small crescent moon tattoo visible in the soft light. "I won't let your darkness consume us all. If my past is intertwined with yours, then I'll face it. I'll confront whatever debt I owe, but your reign of terror, NZ. Balthazar's laughter echoed ominously through the sanctuary, a sound devoid of warmth. He stepped forward, the tension crackling like electricity between them. "You think you can stand against me? I've built my empire on shadows and lies, and you are merely a flickering candle in the wind. But if you seek confrontation, know this: the truth will be your undoing, Pax." His words hung heavy in the air, a chilling portent of the battle that lay ahead. As the weight of Balthazar's threat settled round them, like a shroud, Pax felt the pull of resolve surge within. They understood now that this wasn't just about facing Balthazar, which was about reclaiming their own story, grappling with the mistakes that had led to this moment. The chamber, once a sanctuary, had transformed into a battlefield, filled with the potential for redemption or destruction. Then let the shadows come, Balthazar. I will not hide anymore, Pax declared, their voice steady despite the turmoil inside. With the final glance at the documents that held the key to their intertwined fates, they steeled themselves for the confrontation that loomed, knowing it would demand not only courage, but the unveiling of secrets long buried. In a quiet corner of the bustling marketplace, where the cacophony of vendors and townsfolk faded into a gentle murmur, Pax Bramwell found a moment of sanctuary. The air was laced with the sweet scent of ripe fruits, mingling with the earthy aroma of freshly turned soil from nearby stalls. Sunlight filtered through the fluttering banners, casting dappled shadows on the cobblestones, and the golden hues reflected in Pax's hazardous eyes. They leaned against a weather-res stone wall, fingers brushing over the small crescent moon tattoo on their wrist, a symbol of their connection to the community it stories. The weight of their choices pressed heavily on their slender shoulders, and they felt a familiar flutter of anxiety beneath the surface, quite beneath the marvel of Lysander, their wise mentor, who always seemed to know when Pax needed guidance most. Lysander appeared, his presence as grounding as the ancient trees that bordered the marketplace. His silver hair caught the light like a beacon, the lines etched into his face telling tales of countless journeys and wisdom earned through hardship. Pax, my dear, he said, his voice a soft rumble. What stirs within you today? Pax hesitated, the words tangled in their throat like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Finally, they spoke, the tremor in their voice betraying the chaos of their thoughts. I feel the weight of our history on my shoulders. The heist, my failure. It's a shadow I can't shake off. What if I falter again? Lysander studied them, his piercing gaze intent yet warm. The past is a mirror, not its shackle. It reflects your journey, yes, but it does not define your path forward. Consider this, is this it your very fear that fuels your resolve? A flicker of understanding ignited in Pax's chest, and they nodded, their mind racing with the possibilities of action, of standing tall against Balthazar's looming threat. But it feels so monumental, Lysander. I don't just want to fight, I need to protect what left of our heritage, to honor the Knowledge Keeper legacy. Can I truly rise to that challenge? You are not alone, Pax. Remember, every great leader stands on the shoulders of their community. Your courage is not an absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Trust in our people, they believe in you, and so should you. Lysander's words wrapped round Pax as a warm blanket soothing the frayed edges of their anxiety. With a deep breath, they straightened, envisioning the faces of those they fought for, the families, the traditions, the stories waiting to be told. Each heartbeat drummed with newfound determination. I will confront Balthazar. I'll gather our people, we'll stand united. I owe them that much, and to my face well. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the cobblestones, Pax felt a surge of clarity wash over them. The weight of their choices began to feel less like a burden and more like a call to action. They glanced at Lysander, whose approving nod ignited a spark of hope. Let's gather the community tonight, Pax said, their voice steady now, infused with resolve. We'll plan our course of action together. This ends now, for all our sakes. With that declaration echoing in the air, they turned from the marketplace, a determined stride taking place of earlier hesitance. The earlier chaos had transformed into a singular purpose, to reclaim not just their heritage, but the very essence of Hope Delta itself. The village square of Hope Delta buzz with life, vibrant voices and colorful stalls, creating a lively atmosphere under the sun. The air was thick with the fragrant aroma of freshly baked bread, mingling with the heady scent of blooming wildflowers. At the center of this throng stood Pax Bramwell, their slender frame almost dwarfed by the gathering of villagers, faces etched with hope and expectation. The gentle rustling of feathers from Pax's wide-brimmed hat seemed to add the fluttering excitement around them. They felt the weight of their past pressing against their chest, a tide of memories threatening to pull them under. Yet the steady gaze of their mentor, Elara, drew them back to the present, igniting a flicker of determination amid the turbulence. "You carry the spirit of this place within you, Pax," Elara's voice, steady and low, sliced through the swell of noise, her weather hands resting on Pax's shoulders. The warmth of her touch steadied them, grounding their swirling thoughts. A knot of anxiety twisted in Pax's stomach. They could all hear the whispers of doubt from the village's past. But it's time to let that spirit guide you now. Remember your stories. They are your strength. Pax inhaled deeply, the sense of the market mingling with the earthy undertone of Elara's words. The villagers, faces lit with belief and trust, nodded encouragement, their end stakes in the upcoming struggle evident in the glint of their eyes. You made mistakes, yes, but so has every soul in this square. What matters is what you do next. Show them you've learned, that you're ready to fight for us. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd as familiar voices rose in unwavering support. Elderly Maeve, her hands gnarled yet firm, stepped forward.
I remember the stories you told us as children, Pax.
What they lived in heroes. Now it's time for you to be one.
Don't waste this moment. Her words struck a chord, igniting something long buried within. As Pax scanned the faces, young and old, kindred spirits who had weathered their storms together, a surge of energy broke through their hesitance. The memories of failure receded, like waves, exposing firm ground on which to stand. They straightened, a spark of resolve igniting in their haggard eyes. I will not let you down. For Hope dead, for your trust. The crowd erupted in cheers, a thunderous affirmation that swelled within Pax, pushing aside the shadows of self-doubt that had lingered too long. With their heart racing, Pax squared their shoulders, the moment shifting into clarity. The sun gilded the square in a golden hue, illuminating a path ahead, one fraught with challenges, but also with the promise of redemption. They felt the weight of the past still lingering, but now as protective armor rather than a burden. As the villagers rallied around them, their voices rising in a collective chant, Pax stepped forward, ready to confront the darkness looming over their community. Balthazar Vexley's shadow stretched long and foreboding on the horizon. The battle for hope, light, was far from over, but for the first time Pax felt they could meet it head-on, their fears transformed into a fire of purpose. Under the weighty arch of the old bridge, where ivy clung to the stone, like memories refusing to fade, Pax Bramwell stood on the precipice of their past. The murmur of the river below blended with the rustle of leaves, creating a symphony of whispered regrets and untold stories. Each gust of wind carried the scent of damp earth, reminiscent of the day everything changed for Hope Delta. Dressed in their signature earth-tone tunic, adorned with intricate embroidery, Pax's haggard eyes glimmered with resolve, a small crescent moon tattoo peeking from beneath their sleeve. Across from them, Balthazar Vexley loomed, a figure carved from shadow and ambition, his piercing blue gaze fixed on Pax like a hawk studying its prey. This confrontation was inevitable, the community fate teeterer on the edge, and the bridge bore silent witness to the clash that would unfold beneath its arch. "You think you can take me down, Pax? You just a child playing at being a hero," Balthazar sneered, his voice smooth, like the silk of his tailored coat. The light caught the deep scar on his cheek, a jagged reminder of a past that was as twisted as his intentions. Pax clenched their fists, feeling the warmth of anger rising within them, igniting the fears that had lain dormant for far too long. "I'm not a child, and I won't let you destroy what we have left. You woke everything from us." The words escaped in a rush, filled with the raw energy of pent-up grief, echoing against the ancient stones. Balthazar chuckled, low, menacing sound that stirred the air between them.
"What have I taken, Pax?"
"A few dusty old scrolls? Heritage is just a collection of stories, and stories can be rewritten. You should know that better than anyone." He stepped closer, the scent of leather and power pressing against Pax like a wall. They inhaled deeply, grounding themselves in the moment, memories of the Knowledge Keeper flooding back, lessons of resilience, trust, and the importance of community. "It not just stories, Balthazar.
Get all right, MG.
And I won't let you rewrite it through greed." Pax's heart raced, each beated drum urging them forward. Eyes locked with Balthazar, they took a step toward, their voice steady despite the tremor of apprehension deep within. "You think your schemes will reshape Hope Delta into something stronger? You're wrong. We are stronger when we stand together, when we honor our past. I'm here to ensure you face the consequences of your actions." The conviction in their voice hung between them, charged with the weight of betrayal and fiery determination. Balthazar's expression slowly morphed from contempt to something almost akin to respect, a flicker of uncertainty passing through his icy demeanor. A tense silence enveloped them, broken only by the distant rush of the river, its waters relentless, just as Pax's resolve had become. Balthazar's eyes narrowed, a glint of intrigue crossing his face as he pondered their words. For the first time, the ground beneath their feet felt less like a battleground and more like a defining moment. A choice lay before them. Pax inhaled the cool air, the scent of impending rain mingling with the weight of their challenge. It was no longer just about confronting a villain. It was about reclaiming a legacy. With their heart pound in their chest, Pax stood ready, fully aware that that was merely the beginning of a much larger fight, one that would echo through the very fabric of Hope Delta. The village gathering hall, a sanctuary of warmth and community, buzzed with the quiet hum of anticipation. Sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows, casting kaleidoscopic patches of color onto the weather-weather wooden floor, where villagers there in a semicircle, their faces adorned with expressions of hope and trepidation. The air was infused with the rich aroma of baked bread, mingling with the faint scent of burning sage, a traditional offering to honor the stories of old. Standing at the front, Pax Bramwell felt the weight of their community gaze, their dark brown waves framing a face flushed with determination. Clutching the edges of their earth-toned tunic, they stole a glance at Balthazar, their wise mentor, whose piercing blue eyes radiated encouragement amid this pivotal moment. Today, they were not merely speaking, they were weaving the fabric of their future, thread by thread. "We are the keepers of our stories." Pax's voice rang through the hall, reverberating against the walls lined with memories. The villagers leaned in, their eyes glinting with curiosity and urine. As they spoke, memories of laughter and sorrow intertwined in their mind, a tapestry of the past that had shaped them all. For too long, the echoes of our ancestors have been muffled, drowned out by fear and loss. But today, we can reclaim that legacy. The fervor in Pax's chest ignited a spark in the hearts of those though them, and they could feel a shift, a collective breath held in the air, waiting to be released. Balthazar stepped forward, his broad shoulders casting a shadow that somehow felt protective. Pax speaks the truth. Our traditions are not just relics, they are the very essence of who we are. Each tale, each lesson passed down, holds the power to guide us forward. It is time for us to remember, to honor those who came before us, and ensure their wisdom does not fade into obscurity. His voice, calm yet commanding, wove through the gathering, a steady drumbeat resonating alongside Pax's fervor. Villagers exchanged glances, some nodding in agreement, while others seemed to wrestle with their fears, the past clinging to them like a shroud. A murmur rippled through the crowd as an elder woman, her hands gnarled with age but still strong, rose to speak. But what if we fail again? What if the shadows trend to steal our stories? Her voice trembled, threading through the gathering resolve. Pax felt the weight of her fear, their brow creasing as they stepped forward, a soft determination in their hazel eyes. The path to redemption is never easy, but it is ours to walk together. We must trust in one another, just as we trust in the stories that have shaped our lives. When we unite, we become unbreakable. Let us weave our tales and embrace them, not burdens but strengths. The atmosphere thickened with possibility, tension mingling with the hope that surged through the hall, igniting a fire within each villager. As Pax finished speaking, a stillness enveloped the gathering, a palpable sense of purpose hanging in the air like dust motes caught in the sunlight. Balthazar placed a reassuring hand on Pax's shoulder, the weight of his approval warm against their skin. It was a moment of solidarity, a pact unspoken yet deeply felt. The villagers began to nod, their expressions shifting from uncertainty to resolve. They were ready to reclaim their history, to stand again as guardians of their traditions. With the promise of healing on the horizon, they turned to one another, the first steps towards a brighter future echoing in their hearts. The gathering hall, once echoing with doubts, now brimmed with the fervor of renewed hope. As the villagers began to murmur among themselves, sharing memories and recounting tales long forgotten, Pax glanced at Balthazar. His approving smile ignited a flicker of confidence within them, a reminder that they were not alone. Outside, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over hope dealt, a sign that change was on the horizon. Yet a shadow loomed in the distance. The past was not easily exorcised. As they shared fervent words and laughter, Pax's heart pounded with the knowledge that their journey had only begun, the whispers of old still calling, beckoning them toward the challenges that lay ahead.